try learning anything about geology in the last one?
No, but I learned about endogenous retroviruses.
We did get into the heat problem.
We did, yeah. And the cyclical problem.
The cyclical problem.
So, actually, let me read you something. See, I wish I could, this is small, but all right, so this is I can't remember what the, I can't hardly see the reference, but this is a reputable research resource.
How do you know?
It's in, I can't read it. Hold on, let me see if I can make it bigger. No, I mean, I can't read the DOI.org.
DOI?
It's Srivanekar, Bhattacharyan, Smith, and Daniel. Switching Sides, How Endogenous Retroviruses Protect Us from Viral Infections, Journal of Virology, Volume 95, 12, and it's from May of 2021. Long disregarded as junk DNA or genomic dark matter, endogenous retroviruses turned out to represent important components of the antiviral immune response. Not only do they regulate cellular immune activation, but may even directly target invading viral pathogens. One focus will be on the recent advancements in the role of ERVs as of an antiviral gene expression. So they're misnomers. They're not endogenous retroviruses. They're actually...
Does that say that they're not endogenous retroviruses?
Well, they called them that, but that's really a misnomer.
Well, did they say that that's a misnomer?
What does an endogenous retrovirus do?
What does an endogenous retrovirus do? It may have some benefit, but what an endogenous retrovirus does is it's a retrovirus that inserts itself into the genome. It's endogenous if it's been inserted into a gamete cell.
Does it have purpose?
What?
Does it have purpose?
Viruses absolutely have purposes.
Okay. If it has purpose and it clothes itself as an endogenous retrovirus, but actually attacks and kills viruses, then it's not what they thought it was. It actually is a purposeful, planned feature of the genome.
So that does not mean that.
Okay.
You are reading heavily into this.
Help me out. Help me out.
But also,
no, tell me why.
It has nothing to do with why I bring up endogenous retroviruses.
It's something that God put in us to stop viruses. No, that's what I just, yeah, and you need to prove it wrong.
I don't. You would need to defend your claim.
I just did.
You
were purporting that endogenous retroviruses are this inactive, unusable, a vestige of a virus in the past that has marked...
Why I brought them up, no. So I don't know if you understood why I brought them up before.
Go ahead.
I brought them up because there are 10 million binding sites for endogenous retroviruses in the human genome. And so the likelihood for any endogenous retrovirus to bind at any one spot is 1 in 10
You're completely missing my point.
Well,
I'm not saying it's some virus that attached in some point in the future and has no use today. It's always been there. See, you're the one that doesn't know what he's talking about.
So, let me finish my point, because I don't think you understood my point. There are 10 million binding sites. There are hundreds of shared endogenous retroviruses between us and other apes. They could have their same
It's like talking to a wall. You're not hearing what I'm saying.
Because
I think you know what I'm saying. You just pretend you don't.
I know what you're saying, and what you're saying was not in any way a coherent response to my point. So that's why I'm backing up to my point.
Yeah. You're just repeating the same meme rather than giving a reason.
It's not a meme. I mean, it's
a meme. It's something you heard and you're passing it on without actually even testing it.
No.
Because I just proved it.
Oh, did you test that?
All I'm saying is, yes.
Did you test that?
Yes, I read it in the Journal of Virology.
You tested it.
Oh my God.
Well,
Brother, let's go up.
Let's be real here. Neither of us are doing the
Yeah. You lost. Just admit it. That's your best evidence too, Michael.
It's not my best evidence, but it is my favorite because I think it's the clearest.
Well, you need
Except for when someone like you deliberately ignores what the point of the argument was and sidesteps it to have a different argument.
You're just trying to cope.
We have hundreds of shared endogenous retroviruses.
It's not an endogenous retrovirus, Michael.
But
It looks like one. Looks like a virus, but it's actually like an undercover.
no one said that that study did not say it's not an endogenous retrovirus.
No, they said it will need to be changed in time because what they thought it was is not what it
You're
is.
making assumptions that go well beyond what that study said.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Yes,
It says that the endogenous retrovirus.
Not an endogenous retrovirus.
Oh my gosh.
They just said that endogenous retroviruses.
Isn't endogenous? Let me ask you this, Michael. Is an endogenous retrovirus a feature of the genome, or is it something that's added?
So naturally, biologists understand that functional features get added.
Okay, so you're assuming common
I'm not
descent in
saying-
order to prove common descent.
No.
You need to demonstrate that.
Well, I mean, common descent is so widespread that you believe in an extreme version of it. You believe in a wild version of common descent
No, I
in
don't.
which family groups have all diversified within just 4,000 years.
Yes.
Gaining new features and functions, 500 species of proboscideans in 4,000 years.
Sure.
Okay, so we both agree on common descent. We
No.
both agree that new features can be added.
No.
We both agree that new beneficial traits
No, I agree with
can be
that.
added.
Sure. But
Okay,
that's not common descent, though, Michael.
That is, if 500 species of proboscidean diversify from one species of proboscidean in 4,000 years, that is an extreme version of common descent, way beyond.
Are they still proboscideans?
What?
Are they still proboscideans?
Yes.
Okay. Then yeah, if you want to hold my view, that's fine.
Okay, so then I believe that all organisms descended from an organism, and guess what? They're still the same kind because they're organisms. If we could just apply a big group name to something, then you can embrace evolution. You can say, oh, there was an organism and it diversified into millions of organisms, but it's still an organism.
Yeah, but my problem is, Michael, you don't hold to any efficiency. It's purpose that instantiates This is why I say whatever argument you come to, it's not impressive to me because you can't answer the number one
How
question.
about all vertebrates descended from one vertebrate, but it's still vertebrates?
I'm
Does that
talking
work
about
for you?
your intentionality. Where did that come from?
Does that?
Don't tell me magic. Where does your intentionality come from? It's not magic.
The intentionality
It's magic.
is irrelevant
It's magic.
here.
It's magic.
The intelligence irrelevant is irrelevant here because we both already agree in common ancestry, and you say that common ancestry is
Then why are you disagreeing with me?
What? I'm just trying to prove that we agree. That we both agree with common ancestry. That proboscideans can diversify into other proboscideans.
Oh yeah.
Vertebrates can diversify into other
totally.
vertebrates.
But you're saying that proboscideans can become people.
No, proboscideans can't become people.
What can they become?
What? They can become any other kind of proboscidean.
Okay, what? I don't understand. So you're not saying you believe in common descent of we all came from one single-celled organism?
Oh, sure, but a proboscidean is an elephant.
So okay, so an elephant. You just play games. That's all you do. Play games.
No, I don't see what the game is here. I'm explaining that your worldview involves one member of the group proboscidean diversifying into 500 different species in 4,000 years.
And you're saying it becomes an elephant. That's what it is, right?
Among other things, yeah.
When you have to think, you always go,
When you ask a nonsense question, I always go,
That's right, because you can't answer it.
So,
Then you have to
but
think,
I did answer it.
Computing.
I did answer it, that a more basal proboscidean becomes specifically the
I
Asian
totally agree with
elephant.
that.
And it becomes specifically
That's
the
called
African elephant.
what we call
And it becomes
microevolution.
the mammoth.
But I don't believe in macro.
It becomes the woolly
evolution.
mammoth.
Yeah.
It becomes the mastodon.
So we don't agree then, right?
What?
So we don't agree. What? Every time I know I get you at the point, you always say what?
Well, because you have such non sequiturs. What you're saying does not follow at all.
Oh,
from what we're discussing.
no. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all.
So microevolution for you can turn one species into 500 species in 4,000 years that are as far apart as mammoths, mastodons, Asian elephants, and African elephants. But as long as they're all still proboscideans, that's microevolution.
But no, proboscideans do not become mammoths. That's what you're saying.
What? No, I wasn't saying that. I was saying they don't exclusively become that.
Here, folks, let us offer you help. There's an advice and aid across the parking lot.
Shut the fuck up, Trey! Use your own damn mind, Trey!
Please let us
Shut
offer
the
you
fuck
help.
up, Trey!
We're here to be
Use
advocates
your
for
own
you.
damn mind, Trey!
Whatever it is that
Shut
you
the
need,
fuck up, Trey!
we can offer you, but I
Use your own
beg
damn
of you to
mind,
allow the
Trey!
child to live.
Shut the fuck up, Trey!
Consider what you're
Shut
doing
the
is
fuck
safe.
up, Trey!
I ask
Use your
for
own
you to
damn mind!
Excuse me.
Shut the fuck up, Trey!
the
Use your own damn
ramifications of what you're
mind!
doing.
Inside voice. Then we use our inside
Please
voice.
let us offer you help.
But use your
We're
fucking
here
inside voice.
to be advocates for you. But if you're here today for an abortion, you're coming to murder an innocent human being.
Hey, they're fucking so early. Shut the hell up there over there. Hey, bud. Like, what are you doing?
Please come and talk with us. We can offer you
Use your own damn mind!
whatever it is that you need
Shut the fuck
to be
up,
provided
Trey!
for.
Use your own
But
damn
please
mind!
allow the child to live.
This fucking, oh no, boo-hoo.
Please,
Shut the fuck up,
I beg of
Trey!
you
Use your
to
own
love
damn
God,
mind!
to love His Word,
What are you doing?
Shut the
and to
fuck
love this
up,
little
Trey!
baby that He has
Use
given
your
you.
own damn mind!
We can offer you whatever it is that you need. If you need financial assistance, we can offer it
Shut
to
the
you.
fuck up, Trey!
As I stated, there's an advice and aid across the parking lot. And they can give you prenatal care, postnatal care. They can care for you. And they can care for your baby. Please let us offer you help.
Shut the fuck up, Trey!
Oh, thank you, Elaine. Would you like to have a conversation or no?
Well, we were having a conversation.
I don't know that.
Oh, Trey, we were having a conversation.
Why? Why wouldn't
Well,
I?
I don't know why you're running away from our conversation, Trey.
I'm not running away from your
Oh, okay.
conversation.
So, okay. I don't know why you're trying to.
You're trying to protect her?
So
Standing in front of her?
I'm just trying to maintain our conversation because you found an article that you don't understand about ERVs.
No, you don't understand about ERVs. This is a 21 article, Michael. Go home and read a book.
21. Oh my goodness. Fucking cutting edge.
Read a book. Well, you're that far behind?
What?
You're 4 years behind in the latest technology?
The latest technology.
Yes, this is the latest development within the discipline. You didn't even know about it.
iPhone 15 Pro.
I did know that inserted viral
No, you
DNA.
didn't. They're not inserted.
Did they say that? Did they say it's not inserted?
They didn't say it, but I'm saying it isn't.
Okay,
And that's
so
what logically
that's not what
follows.
the research is.
Is it possible
That's
that it
just
was?
your assumption.
Is it possible it's a feature of the genome?
What?
Is it possible that ERVs that kill viruses are a purposeful feature of the genome?
I believe they're a feature that could be selected for, that they could have a function.
Okay, so they do.
Right, but that doesn't mean it wasn't inserted. That's a weird leap that you're making.
Because you're relying
there are also
upon
laboratory research where
Hey, Brian.
there are also laboratory research where we have deliberately inserted non-functional DNA, and through small mutations it has become functional DNA.
Where is that?
What? I don't have the citation handy, but I can.
When was
prepare
it
for you.
done?
What?
When was it done?
Probably in the last decade.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
context to this conversation?
What's that?
Context to this conversation?
Oh, we're debating endogenous retroviruses as they relate to a common descent.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Nobody didn't know what that is, Brian.
Continue.
But sure, because if you didn't know, no one else knows. So we already agree on common descent. You think it happens super fast.
No, you believe.
You
What were those things called?
proboscibians.
Proboscibians become woolly mammoths.
And you, I think, believe that they become.
Proboscibians become proboscibians. Now they may have other features that through natural selection, sure. I got no problem with that.
You don't think a proboscibian can become a woolly mammoth? Why not?
Because I think that, hey, Stone, how are you, brother? Good. I believe everything was made according to its kind.
Right, and the kind is
Specifically.
proboscibian.
How big is a proboscibian?
They vary wildly in size.
Like from what to what?
Like size of a dog to the size of an African elephant. Actually,
Okay.
bigger. Mammoths were bigger than African elephants, so.
Okay, so what's the smallest proboscibian?
I don't know the species name off the top of my head.
Okay, so proboscibian is not a cellular organism?
It's a cellular organism.
I mean, like single cellular organism, can it be categorized as that?
No, because it's inside of other categories, other kinds, that are by definition multicellular. So.
Okay, so the So proboscidean is then just a category for something that I would agree with?
No.
Well, you just said we agree.
Well, no. We agree. You and I both agree that woolly mammoths, African elephants, Asian elephants, mastodons, and like 500 other species are all descended from a basal proboscidean. I'm assuming you believe this because this is from Answers in Genesis.
Okay.
Yeah. And now I know there are different takes on creationism.
But the question I want to ask you is, do you believe that we all came from one single cell organism?
I do, yes.
Okay, so we don't agree.
We don't agree about that, but we agree that common ancestry can create wildly different species from a basal form.
I don't know. Maybe, that's not important.
I think African elephants and Asian elephants can descend from a more basal creature.
Yeah.
Okay. But as long as they're still in the group proboscidean, then that's microevolution in your view.
Yeah, but my problem is, I don't know why you're playing this game where the difference is between macro and microevolution.
I'm just clarifying what the boundaries are of your idea of microevolution. Because microevolution is...
Why does it matter, though? We disagree on macroevolution.
Because we're interlocutors.
So what? Are we interlocutors with a purpose, or are we just running our mouths?
I want to know your position.
No, you don't.
I do. If you are making a claim about microevolution, how can I respond to it if I don't know what you mean by microevolution? Okay, so I'm just trying to understand your position so that I can then respond to that position. You believe in microevolution within proboscideans. You don't believe in macroevolution like canines and felines descending from a...
Hey folks, my name is Trey. Good morning.
Shut the fuck up, Trey!
I want to offer you some help today. We're here to be advocates for you. I don't know if you're here for an abortion, but we'd like to offer you some help. Please let us talk with you.
Mind your own business.
I know pregnancy comes at times when we don't expect it. It can be very daunting.
Mind your own business.
But I want to encourage you to contemplate the life of this little baby. For abortion, dear madam, is murder. If you are here today for an abortion, you are here to take the life of an innocent human being. Please come and talk with us. We'd like to offer you help.
I have to tell you.
I don't want to be fighting a straw man, intentionally or unintentionally. I don't want to misunderstand what you mean by microevolution. But proboscidean is a family. It includes 500 species, most of which are extinct.
Okay.
And you think that that diversity can come from a more basal proboscidean.
Sure.
Okay. And Canidae, as another example. Wolves, dingoes, domestic dogs, foxes, they're all canids.
Commandments, but break the first.
They could diversify from a single, more rudimentary canid.
Mm-hmm.
Let the false
Okay.
prophets be silent.
But you would disagree with the statement,
And the loud be answered with dignity.
kangaroos, elephants, bears, they are all in the group mammal, and so they could have descended from a more basal mammal.
Okay.
You disagree with that statement?
No, why would I disagree with that?
Oh, so you do agree that
413.
kangaroos, bears, cats, since they are all in the group mammals, they could have
Oh, no, no.
Okay,
I
so
think
you
cats.
do disagree with that. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. So, there are some categories that we could call a kind. There are some categories that we could call a kind that you think, yes, those are similar enough. I can see that they're related. And there are some categories that are too broad. We would not call those a kind, and they cannot share a common ancestor.
Categories are man-made.
Okay, yeah.
Nominally, yeah.
Well,
I'm not
in
saying...
your worldview, categories are God-made.
No. Yeah, I'm a realist, but we make mistakes in our categorization. Let me say that.
Sure. Well, and it's not even to say that it's a mistake, right? Like there's a reason why all those
Do we
animals-
change?
There's a reason why those creatures are mammals.
Yeah, but do we?
And that's not a mistake.
Has category ever changed?
What?
In science, have categories ever
Oh,
changed?
categories absolutely do change. Yeah.
Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Staff meeting, so
So-
see you guys later.
See ya.
So there are some ways that we can find similarities, but those are not evidence of common ancestry in your worldview. And there are other ways we can find similarities. We can say, oh, well, those are all the same kind. They must have common ancestry. Am I describing you accurately?
I guess.
Okay. I mean, Then don't back up and say I'm misrepresenting you. Mice and rats?
Michael, I'm not, this is not my forte. I don't know. I mean, yeah.
I just want to know your position because you said that you support microevolution, not macroevolution. So I'm just trying to pin down what that means. Okay. So if woolly mammoths and elephants is a comfortable kind for you, if dogs and dingoes are a comfortable kind for you, if rats and mice are a comfortable kind for you,
Stop looking wrong. I'm trying to talk to you.
Well, I'm
Very rude.
brother,
I know we
I am
have other
here.
tasks here.
You understand that sometimes they like to distract? If somebody's coming, I'm looking to the people.
I don't mind it at all. I know we both have other tasks here. We are not here for a scientific debate. That fills the gaps between other things. I
Yes.
get that. Yep.
And I appreciate that.
Yep. The humans and chimpanzees, not only are they closer than mice and rats, humans and chimpanzees are closer than chimpanzees and any other great ape. So if you say, well, I accept that chimpanzees and gorillas, they are similar enough, they could both be, descendants of a basal primate, that is a wider change. That is a more dramatic change between chimpanzees and gorillas than the change between chimpanzees and humans. We are each other's closest ancestors or closest relatives.
Okay. Are you familiar with the post hoc fallacy? Post hoc ergo propter hoc?
Yes. And that leads to the problem of induction in all of science, I admit.
Right. So just because something is similar does not mean that they're causally related.
But I'm using the same standard that you might use for
No,
mice
not.
and rats.
You have no standard of teleology. Therefore, you're dead in the water, Michael.
You think that mice and rats are similar because of their similarity. That you think that they're related because of their similarity. You think that elephants
Inductively,
and
I might. But I'm not saying creation comes about accidentally.
This is why I wanted your position before I accidentally debated a straw man.
Oh, I don't think you're worried about that.
I am. Gosh, my whole effort this morning has been to avoid attacking a straw man, to understand what you mean by microevolution before I try to address your claim of microevolution.
Do you think I care about you?
What? I don't. No, I don't.
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I pray for you.
Okay. Oh,
I wish
thanks.
for your blessings.
Wow. So if rats and mice can be shown to be similar by genetics, if paternity tests work because of genetics, then you are engaged in special pleading to say, oh, but this much closer relationship, that has to just be an illusion. That just has to be.
No, I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on the lack of teleology. Give an account for teleology means you're dead in the water, whatever you say.
Sure.
Morning.
Maybe I don't know nothing.
I'm not saying you don't know nothing.
But there are.
I think you're a very intelligent person.
Christian evolutionists who are not buying into the delusion that you're buying into.
Okay, but they're not like
so
you. They're different than you. They believe in an efficient cause. You don't.
Okay, sure. You believe in an efficient cause. Why not, with your efficient cause, accept common ancestry between humans and the other great apes?
Because the Bible doesn't say that. It says the exact opposite of that.
But the evidence that you would use to show common ancestry between mice and rats.
I start with teleology. You start with your feet in midair, Michael.
What?
I start with teleology. You start with your feet in midair.
It doesn't matter where I start because I'm talking about your claims.
Yes, but you're trying to give me your perspective as one to challenge mine.
I'm really trying to give you a old Earth.
You missed the
Christian
earlier part, Tin Lian. We talked about endogenous retrovirus, and Michael's understanding is archaic, and he was out and misinformed.
It's not. He's just lying about the paper. But
what do you mean? I read it to you.
You read it, and then you inserted your own assumptions on top of that. I don't disagree with what the paper said.
But my assumptions are completely supported by what the paper said.
They're not.
Sure they are. I'll tell you, Tinley, what the answer was later. Yeah.
So, have we talked endogenous retroviruses?
Well, she was here when you were talking last time.
Yeah, I
Okay.
Yeah. We last talked about the Pyramid of Giza. That was what I left you with. So, again, you are engaged in special pleading because the type of comparisons that you would accept for a paternity test, the kind of comparisons you would accept for your definition of kind, you want to make just one exception for that.
Teleology, yeah.
No, not teleology.
Yeah, everything is
One exception
teleological.
you want to make for that.
You're saying there's no
is that
teleology.
Only human
Except
genetics,
to live, which is teleology.
Only human genetics is not evidence of common ancestry. Even when it is stronger and closer than the similarities between rats and mice, or between elephants and other elephants. I mean, if that's where you want to leave it, just, yep, I'm engaged in special pleading. Okay.
No, I don't know what to say, Mike. You begin on no purpose instantiating purposely for a real big purpose, which is survival.
That is what I started with. That was the first thing I said.
No, that's where your worldview starts.
Really.
Do you know where the term worldview came from?
What?
Do you know where the term worldview came from?
Sounds like a compound word. I don't know.
Weltanschauung.
What?
It's Immanuel Kant.
Oh, okay.
And basically, he's an idealist. This is what's wrong today. The reason Christians are the tail, not the head, is because of Immanuel Kant's philosophy in the Enlightenment. Because he forbid us, he didn't mean to, he considers himself Christian, from the discipline of metaphysics. And that's why we're so stupid. We believe in materialism, like intentionality instantiating unintentionally stupid things like that. But we're seeing a resurgence, so I'm hopeful that we're overcoming bad Enlightenment
We're
philosophy.
going to abandon the Enlightenment. Okay.
No,
sure.
the Enlightenment has some good things, but it also has some bad things, and we need to sift out the bad and keep the good. I love
But
contract
see,
theory.
This is what I mean about special pleading, is that, like, you accept the materialism for a paternity test. You accept the materialism.
It's not. No, I don't.
for
I'm not a materialist.
Shared kinds.
No, materialist believes that there's no metaphysic.
So let me rephrase that then. You don't invoke metaphysics
Yes.
for a paternity test.
I have to. That's going to come into my foundational view that there's purpose. Therefore, it's going to inform everything that I look at. That it's going toward a goal. Now you say it's going. Let's go in the shade here. It's going toward a goal, but it's going toward a goal for no reason for you. The goal is survival.
The goal of survival, yeah.
Which is a goal,
You should read
which is
past-
teleology.
You should read past the cover of On the Origin of Species. I'm going to encourage you on that again.
Okay, tell me where I'm wrong.
What?
Since you're the expert, tell me. Teach me.
So, I mean, I don't know that there's much to teach you because you already accept
Okay,
natural
so you're just
selection.
making an empty statement you
Well,
didn't know.
I'm mocking you because your criticism was from the cover.
No, it's from the whole concept.
But you
It's not the
accept-
goal of survival?
You accept almost the entire concept.
Is the goal of evolution survival?
So, the outcome of evolution is survival.
Is it a good thing when something survives?
I don't know. There's things that I don't want to survive.
Do you believe that axe murderers should be killed or should be jailed?
Sure. but I
Okay, so
also
you're
believe-
teleological.
But I
not-
also
so you can't live
believe-
consistently with your
But I
perspective.
also believe that screw worms shouldn't flourish.
But that's an empirical data. We could be wrong about any number. We are constantly changing, just like the ERVs. We're constantly changing because we learn new things. That's the problem, as you said, with induction. So I start with deduction.
So
That's why I
you-
like begin with rational truth first.
I want to stick with that question though, because you asked a very broad question of like, oh, is it good when things survive? To me, it's not good for everything to survive.
Right. But is the concept of survival a positive or a negative overall as a category?
Stated that broadly, I don't know that I can say.
And those things which lead to the sanctity of existence, are they good? Those things which lead to the sanctity of existence, are they good?
I don't even know what that would mean, that phrasing.
That's,
But evolution doesn't say survival is good. Evolution is tautological in saying things that
do
survive,
all
survive.
evolutionists treat survival as if it is something special? Every single one, because they're alive themselves. If they didn't think so, they wouldn't eat. Think about it.
That is irrelevant to the... I don't know, that's just a silly little, like, hypocrisy argument to be like, oh, you don't think evolution is fundamentally good, but you survive.
No, that you seek to survive, but you say it doesn't matter.
I'm saying that natural selection is not making a moral claim about, oh, it is good when this species survives.
No, I'm not talking about natural selection. I'm talking
Well,
about
I'm
you.
trying to talk
you
about
as
natural
a product
selection.
supposedly of natural selection.
I'm trying to talk about
can
natural
selection
selection.
value things?
What?
Can natural selection value
No.
things? Can you value things?
Yes.
And natural selection gave rise to you.
Yes.
How's that work?
Um,
It's magic.
No.
It's magic. It's so funny how the tables have turned. Christians used to be the ones that were accused of magic, and now it's the other side.
Still, magic is a big part of your worldview. What was it I was going to say? So before you started inserting words in my mouth, I was going to use an argument from analogy, which is that things can give rise to properties that they themselves don't express.
Sure, but it has to have the capacity for that thing in order for it to be.
Sure. Is natural selection
And there's
photosynthetic? Is natural selection photosynthetic?
It uses photosynthesis. It is. Let me say it-
photosynthetic?
actually, I shouldn't say it uses because it doesn't do anything. Natural selection is just a description of what happens. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not teleological. So photosynthesis is something that actually occurs.
Yeah.
And your point?
Is natural selection photosynthetic?
I think so.
I don't think it is.
Oh, it's not.
It's not. I can't imagine what that would mean. To
Natural
say that
selection.
Natural selection
Well,
is
it's descriptive of. It is a mechanism that is used in photosynthesis. It is a process. Photosynthesis is a process that is involved with natural selection, is it not? Those that photosynthesize don't survive.
That's not true. I don't photosynthesize.
No, I'm just saying, to the types of being that photosynthesize, if it does not function that, then it doesn't survive. Hey, brother.
Yes. So, great. Natural selection is not photosynthetic, but there are organisms that make use of photosynthesis.
That doesn't make your point at all.
Natural selection.
Natural
selection does not have intent. There are organisms affected by natural selection that have intent.
Say it again.
Okay, so you said natural selection doesn't use photosynthesis, isn't photosynthetic, but there are organisms affected by natural selection that use photosynthesis.
Yes.
And I'm saying natural selection does not have intention. There are organisms that are affected by natural selection that do have intention.
Those are called accidental properties, Michael. You know the difference between accidents and substance?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know how you would know
Accidental
it other
properties
than
are things that
wanting
we
to invoke it.
participate in, but it's not my substance. I always use the example of my hair. You know, I'm going bald, right? So hair for me is an accidental property. I'm still Trey whether I have hair or not.
I hate to tell you, but you are not going. And I am not going. You have gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I used to instantiate hair, and now I no longer do.
Photosynthesis.
I'm just joining in.
Oh, okay. I was like, that is nonsense.
Stupid stuff. I don't.
So accidental properties are things in which we participate, but they do not define us. So I have these I have the property of 6'1"ness. I once had this property of 6'3"ness. I lost that, but I'm still me.
Yep.
So all these things we participate in, but I have a substantial form of humanity. So if you take away my substantial form, say for example, you cut off my head or something like that, I'm going to lose some of my substantial property. I'm no longer conscious, which is part of the substantial form. So there's two categories: substance, accidents. These are Aristotelian categories. That things, and so you're describing something that's an accidental property, but I'm talking about substance.
Oh, photosynthesis is an accidental property of plants? This tree would still be a tree if it didn't photosynthesize?
No, it is something that
So that's a substantial property.
Same thing with air for me. If I don't have air, I die.
Yeah.
But I'm not defined. Air is not me.
But photosynthesis is part of the definition of a tree.
It's part of the process for its growth, sure.
No, but it's also
an
part of the definition.
Sure. If
Because
you
it
wanna-
belongs to the
whatever you want to
category of
say.
plants, and what defines
It's something
that category
necessarily. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
and if it doesn't have light, it dies. But that's not the photosynthesis is not
if
the tree.
Not if it doesn't have light, it dies. I'm saying it has the ability to do photosynthesis, and that is part of what defines it.
Right. Just like the baby in the womb. It has everything
It has
necessary.
photosynthesis, and that's part
No,
of
it has all the human characteristics, the DNA, the metabolism, and the growth that make it a human.
Granted. Okay, so back to the original question. You were asking, how can intention arise from something that is unintentional? And that to me is just kind of a unremarkable question because...
Well, of course, because you can't answer it.
Well, no, it's unremarkable because things frequently give rise to other things that have defining properties that their source did not have.
Like your children having the ability to time travel.
Well, not that one.
Okay, so there is an order to the way things How does intentionality instantiate without intention?
I don't know.
That's the
but
problem. That's the problem. You're violating the law of identity.
I'm not, though.
Okay, show me.
Because, as I've said, and there are so many examples of this, where something that does not have a property.
We're not talking about some kind of... The intentionality is different than any of the physical properties you're talking about. It is
So
something
this
that
one property
is intentional physical.
This one property is totally separate from any other sort of analogy I could make.
It's like something from nothing. Do you believe something can come from nothing?
Hmm?
Do you believe something can come from nothing?
I don't.
Why?
Why? I just don't have any examples of something coming from nothing.
Well, you don't need an example. It's a logical necessity.
It gets really hazy depending on definition of nothing, and I know that's silly to say. But
Yeah, you've been listening too much to that goofus Lawrence Krauss.
the
Or he just equivocates and plays stupid games to sell books. Yeah.
I'm saying there are things that on the surface we would have said, oh look, something's coming from nothing.
Sure. But it's not.
Well, we then kind of
Our empiricism was weak.
We redefine nothingness.
No,
to be
nothing means no thing. It's a negation of a being.
is empty space nothing?
Well, no, it's
Okay.
empty space.
Okay,
So it's not, you can't even conceive of nothing, Michael.
right. So maybe that's why I reject that something can come from nothing, because I can't even conceive of what nothingness would be.
Yeah, because there's something. So if there's something exists, then something exists.
Is time something?
Yes.
Okay. See, so then it just
Time
becomes
is a measure. It's a concept measurement of movement of contingent being. Could be more. But
So it becomes incoherent to say something comes from nothing, because that is a statement about time. Time has to be present for something to come from nothing, and if time is present,
no,
then there's
that's not
there's
true.
not nothing.
Time is not necessary. Time is contingent.
Time is necessary for a change to happen.
But it's not ontologically necessary. You don't have to have contingent being, because then contingent being would be necessary. And contingent being is a necessary property linked to time.
In the scenario of something coming from nothing, what you were asking if I thought was possible, in that scenario, time has to be present. And if time is present,
Time is just a measurement of change.
then there wasn't nothing, and so it's a self-defeating scenario. I guess that would be why.
Well, I would say here's an easier way to put it. It cannot be, something cannot be and not be at the same time in the same relationship. So if something came into being, there was absolutely nothing, then it needed to predate itself in order to bring itself about. If something exists now, something exists necessarily. That is a necessary reality of mathematics and logic.
So I'm a necessary being?
No, if
No,
something,
okay.
you admit you're not necessary, right?
What?
You admit that you're not necessary.
No. Yeah, I'm not necessary.
Okay,
Yeah.
so could you have made yourself before you existed?
No.
Okay, so if something exists now, something exists necessarily. That's the whole point.
Oh, not the same something. Not the same something.
Right.
That's where I got confused. I thought you were saying if something exists, then that something exists
No.
necessarily.
Obviously,
I was like,
you
that
can't be
doesn't-
contingent and necessary at the same time, same relationship.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All this is to say that our intention, maybe not the broad metaphysical intention that you want to invoke, but like the intentions that I have, are an emergent property in the same way that photosynthesis is an emergent property.
And it was
I knew you
intended
would laugh at the
unintentionally
notion of
because it's so
emergent property.
stupid, and you should know that, Michael. You're a
Why
smart
is
guy.
that so stupid? So many other things are emergent.
What intended intention into being?
What?
Nothing?
No. Well, not nothing, but no intention.
Is intention physical?
What?
Is intention physical?
Yes.
What? How much does it weigh? How much does it weigh?
So having a
What color
physical
is it?
medium doesn't mean that it has weight, it has color. We've been over this before. Being physically instantiated doesn't mean something has weight. Yes. Physical?
Yeah, physical. What?
Okay,
What is it?
physical.
What is it? What does it look like?
What?
Intentionality is physical?
Intentionality is physical.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not a property. How about the number 2? Is it physical?
Is it physical? Yes.
What color is it?
So being physical doesn't mean something has to have a color.
What does it weigh?
It doesn't mean it has to have a weight.
Give me something that is weightless, colorless, that you cannot experience, that is physical.
Weightless, colorless that you can't experience, but we do experience intention.
No, I'm talking about, give me an example of something that is physical, that has no weight, that has no color, that you cannot empirically verify.
I'm not saying that.
You're saying it's physical.
I'm not saying that intention.
That's an
can't be
amazing
physically
thing.
verified.
Intentionality is physical.
Yes.
Does it have shape or form?
Hmm?
Does it have shape? Physical things have shape and form.
It affects shapes and forms.
No. What is its shape? Because you're saying it itself is physical.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
What do you want to know about it? I think you know what intention is.
It's not physical. It's a property of personhood.
Right. And it's a physical property.
What does it look like? Hmm? What shape is it?
I'm watching some intention right now.
No, you're not. You're engaging it, but you can't see it.
See an intention? You know.
What color is it?
What?
You're not seeing it. You're perceiving it. You're not seeing it with your eyes.
So, what color is zebra stripes?
Black and white.
Have you ever seen that like 90s artist who did the like Trapper Keepers and all those
Sure.
things? And those, sometimes those were black and white zebra stripes. But we still know they were zebra stripes.
So
Zebra stripes.
how is that? How intention is none of those?
Zebra stripes are an emergent property.
So you assume from your poor, weak
I mean,
perspective.
To be clear, I mean the pattern of zebra stripes, not literal zebra stripes. Although, I mean, you would also have to agree that zebra stripes are emergent on actual zebras because no piece of fur is zebra stripe. The pattern is something that emerges from smaller pieces.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
But the formal principle, you would say formal principles are all fortuitous, and I would say formal principles are formal by definition. In other words, they're teleological by definition.
Still
Like
trying to
this, like the zebra genome is going to come up with. It's not going to give Trey Jadlows, you know.
Right.
So they're teleological, formal toward a perspective, toward an end goal. The zebra's ultimate form is, as we know it, black and whiteness. Now it can change and it can vary, but it's always going to be that thing. It's not going to somehow surprise us and become, you know, an astronaut or something. You know.
Could become a donkey.
Yes, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm
So-
saying
so it can become
there's
other things.
there's an order though.
But there
to
are
it.
limits to.
Right. It's formally determined.
And yet.
But you
that
say there's no
change-
determination.
That changed zebra to donkey, which is larger than human to chimpanzee. That one's allowed, and human to chimpanzee not allowed.
Somehow we jumped from
Well, we're circling back.
the physicality.
We're circling back.
Oh, okay.
But I will go back to my original point, which was not about the stripes on zebras, but the idea of the pattern zebra stripe. It doesn't have a weight.
I can tell you what color it is. I can see it with my eyes.
It does not have a defining color.
What do you mean?
Because, like I said,
I can say that zebra has a black and white stripes.
sure, that zebra has black and
I
white
can put a
stripes.
photometer on them, and I can, or spectrophotometer on it, and determine.
Sure, that
the
zebra
colors.
has black and white stripes. But I'm talking about the pattern zebra stripes, which can be represented with neon green and pink, and you would still say that's the zebra stripes pattern.
Sure. Are you a
Yeah.
Platonist?
What?
Are you a Platonist?
I'm not.
How do you know? How do you know it's a zebra?
I don't know, but we know. I'm just saying, this is not a premise that we reject, so I don't.
So you know, apart from mere experience, you know how to pattern and categorize things. You're determined to be able to pattern and categorize things.
Sure. My point is, zebra stripes exist, and they are physical. But if you were to tell me, if you were to ask me what color is the zebra stripes pattern, well, it's not really defined by a color. How much does it weigh? Well, it's not really defined by a weight. You know, it's going to exist.
I can tell you what color it is. On the Trapper Keeper, they were rainbow.
Sure, but that's not defining it, right? So if I look at you and I say I see intention here, and someone asks me what color is intention,
Michael,
I say
why don't you just admit you're filibustering? You made a bad point.
I'm not filibustering.
It's intentionality is not physical.
Hmm?
Intentionality.
Intentionality
is
is
not
physical.
Okay. But you can't tell me any of its physical attributes, its shape, its form, its weight, its color.
I can give specific examples,
Okay.
but those are not defining. In the same
Show
way
me a physical example of intentionality. Not what it produces, it itself. Tell me what it is. Show me what it is.
So intentionality is an action. So that'd be like saying, back to photosynthesis.
So it's not physical.
Show me photosynthesis.
So it's not physical. Actions are physical.
Actions are physical.
So running is a descriptive of a physicality, but it's not physical itself.
You wouldn't call running physical? Is running
It's a physical
metaphysical?
act.
Is
but
running metaphysical?
Run is not physical. The concept of run is not physical. It's a descriptor.
Is running physical? Because maybe we have different usages of physical here. Like,
Okay. Let's not get off on that. Let's just talk about intentionality.
because to me, physical is matter and energy and the things they do in space and time.
Yes, and that's all there is.
Yeah, I was
I don't know if that's all there is.
Well, that's what you believe is all
I'd
there
love,
is.
No, I'd love to see examples of things that
gosh.
are not matter and energy operating in space and time.
Intentionality.
Every example I see of that seems to be matter and energy
Show me.
operating in
You haven't
space and
showed it to me.
time. What?
Show me the intentionality. That's you. I'm watching you with the attribute of intentionality, but you said intentionality itself is physical.
Yeah.
Intentionality. This is Socrates used that same questions. What is something? Show me what it is, because you said it's physical. That's ridiculous.
I mean, is there anything here other than matter, energy, moving in space and time that demonstrates the intention?
Yes, it's demonstrating intention, but show. You said the intention itself is physical.
Because, I mean, to me, something is physical if it is matter and energy operating in space and time.
But you're saying you have the attribute of intentionality, but you said intentionality itself is physical.
Right.
It's not physical. It's a descriptor of physical things, can be. A person's mainly.
I'm missing your point. If there's a distinction here between what you mean by physical and what I mean by physical, it's being lost on me.
Well, yeah, because you know that intentionality is not physical.
No, it's physical.
Then what is it? Show me it.
What?
Show it to me.
Well, okay, let's reverse that.
What's that?
Can you show me intention with nothing physical?
With nothing physical.
Right.
Well, anything that is immaterial, anything that has matter, is contingent by definition because it's limited by space. Do you agree with that?
Yes, matter exists in space.
I'm sorry, what did I just say?
You said that anything that is matter depends upon
Oh,
space.
that's what I say. So it's limited by space, right?
Sure.
All right, so I made the case that contingent being cannot be all there is. There must be necessary being. So that necessary being must be immaterial because it cannot be limited by space. Otherwise, it would be contingent on space in order for its being. So if intentionality is something that instantiates here, and intentionality can only come from intentionality, then the perfect example would be the one that gave you your being, that gives you your intentionality.
I don't
That's
think
the example.
intentionality can become intentionality.
Yes, I know. You say that intentionality is some physical property that you cannot describe, and you say exists, but you cannot explain it. You can only use it as a descriptor.
And that is true for many physical properties. And not only of persons. I mean, like, we can apply intent to animals, and we can apply intent
To the
plants.
genome.
What?
The genome is toward a telos, toward a goal. We talk about zebra. Zebra genome is toward zebraness. That's intention. That had to be intended. There's intent. There's a
Why does it
purpose.
have to be intended?
Well, there's telos in it. You know what telos
How do you
is?
know there's telos in it?
Well, you agree with that. You say if a zebra does not, let's say for a genome gives birth to gives rise to a dead zebra, let's say, that did not finish the goal of what it was intended to do.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, whether you acknowledge it or not, that's a fact. So everything, the eye, what is the eye for?
What?
What is the eye for?
I've explained before the eye has many functions.
No, the main, keep it simple. What's the eye for?
Sure. The eye relays visual information to
It's
our
for
brains.
seeing, right?
What?
It's for seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if somebody is blind, is there something wrong with them? Not morally, just is there something wrong with their eye?
What do you mean by wrongness there? If you don't like,
It's not functioning properly. It has a proper function, it's not fulfilling that.
it doesn't do the function that they might like for it to have.
No, no, no. Are you sad when you see a blind person?
No.
Do you wish you could help them if they could see, that they could see? and they would like to see?
Not necessarily. If you interview people in
Oh my
the
gosh,
disability
it's like
community-
arguing with a child, Michael.
Well, no, I mean, have you ever interviewed people in the disability community?
All you want to do is win. It's not about
Have you
truth
ever
with
interviewed
you.
people in the disability community?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever encountered people who say that they do not want the ability that they are considered disabled by
And that is the exception, yes. But generally speaking, the eye is for seeing, and you know it. You don't want to admit it because you just want to win the argument.
Well, no, I'm still trying to address your question of, am I sad when I see a blind person? No, I'm not sad.
Generally,
No, I'm not sad.
when somebody goes to war and they get their arm blown off, are you upset by that?
Yeah.
It's so easy, Michael. Come on. Because their
Ask a
body has
different
lost the function that it's
question,
meant for.
It's not that it's meant
Hands
for that.
are for sanctifying existence. They are for creating things, making beauty, saving lives. Everything is teleological. Everything, Michael. And when it loses that function, sure, there are people that are happy that they don't have, like some people have pica, they like to eat dirt or whatever. There's something wrong with them, and we want to help them to learn the proper function of their body. If someone wants to cut their arm off, you don't say, oh, let's cut it off. They say, no, I want to help you. That arm is a good thing. The same thing with transgenderism, which you celebrate. People want to cut off their boobs or cut off their body parts. You celebrate that. I say, no, there's a purpose to your body, and it's a good thing, and I want to help you to see it, because you're obscured. You've got this delusion in your mind.
How do you know the error is with their brain and not with their body?
Say it again.
How do you know the error is with their brain and not with their body?
Because that's teleology, just like expensive. You admitted that when you said somebody gets their arm blown off in war, that's a bad thing.
Sure. If someone wanted their arm and it was blown off in a tragedy, that's a bad thing.
I wasn't into it, to be perfectly frank with you.
And if somebody were anorexic and she said that she was fat and she was dying from anorexia, do you withhold food for her so she can be happy and die?
Would that help her?
It would kill her.
So would that help her?
No.
No. Okay, so that's probably why psychologists
So you're
don't do
assuming the goal is life.
that. So psychologists probably don't do that then, right?
I'm talking about you.
Well, I'm not giving anyone psychological advice.
Your friend is suicidal. What do you do?
I discourage them from killing themselves.
Why?
Why?
They're happy killing themselves.
That's
Does their life matter?
Their life matters to me, yeah.
Okay. So it matters to you. So you're wanting
If
to
I was in the bunker with Hitler, I
impose.
would not have stopped him from killing
Okay,
himself.
'cause he killed
If
people.
If Hitler was in the bunker,
You make my point.
okay, but I don't know why.
You're assuming the sanctity of existence in everything you say.
I do want to assert. Well, let's assume the sanctity of existence.
Okay.
I know you do. You're saying I do. So, I just want to address.
You're saying you do.
Sure. I just want to address that transgender point that you brought up and the bad analogy to anorexia.
Okay.
Why would a psychologist not? Why would a psychologist not play along with that anorexic and say, "Oh yeah, you're fat. You should stop eating. I'm going to give you a diet plan." Why would a psychologist not do that?
Because they're killing themselves. They're deluded.
Okay. So is it because
We know
they're
that the
wrong-
body is for living.
Is it because they're wrong, or is it because they would kill themselves?
Both.
Both?
They're. What do you mean they're wrong?
Well,
Am I misunderstanding you?
so I was going to say, sometimes a psychologist might play along with something that they don't think is true.
For the purpose of sanctifying existence.
Sure. So like if we were forced to make that choice, the psychologist, should they go with what they think is true, or should they go with what's going to protect this patient?
Can you give me an example?
Let's see here. We could dream up any sort of like schizophrenia situation, and someone has a delusion, but that delusion is going to ultimately keep them safer. Then a psychologist might not push back on that delusion at that moment.
To sanctify their existence.
Sure. And would you agree with that?
Yes, because if someone is deluded, they're not thinking properly. And so the goal is to get them to a position where they can think properly.
Sure. We're not going to encourage anorexia because it would kill someone.
Because their life matters, objectively.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so you agree that life is objectively valuable.
For the purposes of this discussion, I'll say, yeah, let's call it objective.
Okay.
You think it's objective, I'm just trying to play with your worldview.
Sure.
So, numerous studies have shown that gender-affirming care is the treatment that is most likely to preserve the life of someone going through gender
Again,
dysphoria.
your what do you call it? Your science is old. The latest studies have shown that there's no benefit to that whatsoever. Look it up.
Go ahead and look it up.
That's why the UK stopped doing it,
Go ahead and
because
look
there's
it
no
up.
benefit. I'm telling you, I already
Pull it
have.
up.
It's not you again with endogenous retroviruses and with gender affirming care. You're behind in your science.
Like, unless this was in the last few months, I'm pretty up to date on this.
It's with the last
If you're citing the like
year.
Sweden study that started in the 70s,
no,
'cause
not
that's
that
a popular one.
I
with
know
trans
it,
folks.
and that has been proven wrong.
Well, because I mean that's one that your side uses a lot. The Sweden study.
No, these are new studies that have come out. This, like I said, in the UK, they
Okay,
don't
what
do
did these
gender
studies
affirming
say?
care
What did
anymore
these
for
studies
children.
say?
It says that it's either the same or worse in the long term. The latest studies are showing, because they're getting some long term with some decent.
But what is the, if I may ask, Trey, what's the ultimate objective? Are you talking just life in general? Or are you talking about glorifying God? What are you talking about? So we affirm gender care, life is preserved, but for what end?
Well, I'm saying there is an end to everything.
Yeah.
And everybody agrees that life is a good thing, and the atheist can't give a justification for it. But life in and of itself, since we do not give ourselves our existence, it's given to us from someone else, and since our life is important, it logically follows that we would give thanks and praise that who gave us every moment of our existence even now. So it's to love God and to glorify Him forever, and to love your neighbor.
They're okay with life. To what end? That's the end of it.
No, I think that what the gender affirming care is, their goal is the same as mine. In other words, to sanctify existence.
Okay.
But they're just wrong. So, like for example, you're out here today to sanctify existence, but you're just wrong.
Was that it saved lives?
Say it again.
If the evidence was that it saved lives, then you would go with that, but you just disagree.
No, because the life itself is for the glory of God.
Yeah, it doesn't
Everything
force
is for the glory of God.
that.
He has made things with a teleological end, and the Bible tells us very clearly that men and women are distinct beings that have a distinct purpose, and that's how we should be living in that way. So that's gonna color my counseling, whatever I'm counseling.
You're saying everything